session of your webinar. And today we are going to talk about actually how to make a presentation and how to present effectively, right? So before going on to the software, actually, I thought of giving you all a basic idea on what presenting means and some of the tips that you can use to present actually, right? So I have shared this file task and down from there. So before moving on to the PowerPoint software, actually, we'll talk about what presenting. So for about 20 minutes, I'll give a basic tip on what presenting effectively means. Then we'll move on to the software. So, when it comes to presentation, right? So if I say you want to do a presentation tomorrow, the first thing or the first idea that comes up to your mind is PowerPoint. Make some slides and present it, right? But actually presenting means it's a skill, right? It's a skill, and there are a lot of things that you have to do before presenting, right? In order to present effectively, there's a long story behind and you have to prepare for it. Then only you can present effective. So we need to make sure what presenting effectively means. We need to make sure, or we need to learn what presenting effectively means, right? So this is actually a skill, as I told you, right? So effective communication skills are required for students as well as for the people who move with the public and do other day-to-day tasks. Actually, this is a skill, right? This is a skill that we need to develop, right? So we need this skill to make speeches, so to do presentations, so to move with the public. So, right now, for example, in order to communicate with others, right? Or else to inform something, right? Or else to convince someone, right? Or to sell something, or to win someone's heart, right? Or get something done, right? For anything, you need this effective communication skill, right? So in academic activities as well as in business activities also, we need this skill, right? So in this meeting, there are around 200 students now. All of you are having this skill, right? But not at the same level, right? Some are having this skill at a very good level and some might lack on this skill. But this is a skill that you can develop, right? In order to develop that, what you have to do is there are some few steps that you have to do. I'll talk about in the future slides. So if you are going to follow those steps or the tips, then you can actually develop this skill and present effective, right? So in order to make a presentation or to do something presenting, right, I'll talk about 12 tips, right? How to speak or present effectively. I'll be going through on 12 tips, right? These are the tips that I'm going to talk, right? So for example, suppose I'm asking you all to do a presentation next week, right? So how we are going to prepare for it, right? So if you are going to follow these steps or these tips, you can present effectively the next week, right? So let's see what these points are, right? Now the first point is knowing your audience, right? As soon as the presentation or you are given an invitation to do a presentation, you need to make sure what the audience is, right? That is the main thing, right? It is very important to know the audience in advance, right? So for example, if someone asks or invite me for a lecture, I need to know what kind of students are there, right? What's their educational level, right? Or what's their field of expertise, or what's their cultural background. I need to have a basic idea because that is important in order to prepare the presentation, right? So in your university life, you get different kinds of presentations. Sometimes they are vivas, sometimes they are just normal, right? No matter what type of presentation it is, you need to have an idea about the audience, right? Because uh, when we have a clear idea on the audience, it will be easy for us to jot down the specific points that we need to talk, right? Now here, for example, a speech on healthy lifestyle, right, can be a better topic for the elder audience rather than a speech on social networks, right? So you need to verify what kind of an audience is there. That is the first thing you have to do, right? So after getting knowing then you can see the speech topic, right? So when selecting the speech topic, there are two perspectives, right? Sometimes you are given the freedom to select your own topic, and sometimes you are given a topic and you are asked to talk on that, right? That can according to situation. But no matter if you are given the topic or if you have the freedom to select your own topic, what you have to do is you have to research well on your topic, right? So if you are given the freedom, make sure you select a topic that will match your audience, right? Now, for example, if it is an elderly crowd, elderly audience, then take a topic that will suit those audience, right? But if you are given a topic, then what you have to do is do a basic research and what this topic is and collect facts on this relevant speech topic because we don't know about everything, right? So sometimes now, for example, let's see, I'm given a topic about artificial intelligence, right? So I don't know everything about artificial intelligence. I know only the basic concepts and all those things. So what I have to do is I have to do a research and get to know more information about this topic, or else I would not be able to talk on this topic, right? So that is the next thing you have to do, right? After selecting the topic, the other thing you have to do is prepare, right? This is the main thing, main point. This point is the key to success, right? So for example, let's take the artificial intelligence thing. If I'm given the topic, then I have to research well on this and write down facts that I need to talk about this topic, right? And when selecting facts also, they should be easily understandable and also it should match the respective audience, right? Because the audience might know nothing about artificial intelligence, right? They might be having a zero knowledge. So I can't with that was the beginning and then only I have to progress through the presentation. So when collecting facts also, you have to collect facts that are supporting the audience, right? And the another point is very important point, this third point, you have to weave your points or facts logically, right? When you are doing a presentation, right, this when during this preparation part, what we do is we jot down the information and then we weave it, right? We have to make a story, right? Your presentation always should have a logical flow, right? Now, for example, I give a topic talk about. So I have to start from the beginning. How is it invented? Right? Who invented? How it happened? Then I have to progress on to the future bicycle. Right? There should be a. I can't straight up the future bicycle and then talk about the history and then talk about something else. That don't work. Points weak points or the all the errors that you have done in this preparation stage can be rectified only by reading it again and editing it, right? So this is very important. This is the main stage of your presentation, right? So for example, let's take you are given a presentation in your university, right? So straight away you are not going to do the PowerPoint slides, right? What you have to do is you have to prepare for it, collect facts, and then weave the presentation or the logical flow, right? And then after that, after preparing, what you can do is rehearse, right? You can do a rehearsal, right? So rehearsing means this can make you perfect, right? Practicing continuously will help you to make more confident, right? So what you have to do is rehearse, right? So for example, you can take a small audience, 2 or 3 friends, and then you can rehearse in front of them, or else you can practice in front of a mirror, right? However, you have to do some rehearsals before going into the actual situation, right? So I have seen many students, they have created very good presentations sometimes, right? Very rich facts and very good topics, but they have not done any rehearsal. So they haven't practiced at all. Their first presentation is on the presentation day, right? So that is a thing that you should not do. You have to rehearse it before going to the actual situation, right? Rehearse. Then another thing is during a presentation, you have to be within your time, right? Always make sure be within your allocated time, right? Now, for example, when you are given a presentation, you are informed that this is your time duration. You are getting only 5 minutes or you are getting only 10 minutes for this presentation. So make sure to be within the time, right? So if you are going to talk more and more, this will make the audience getting bored, right? Now, for example, if it is a Viva, right, you are given around 10 to 15 minutes, right? So you are not going to talk for 30 minutes, right? So it will utterly make the panel bored, right? So make sure to be within the time. And also, when managing the time, make sure that your speech is not too short, right? Now, for example, let's say I'm given 20 minutes to speak. I end my speech in 10 minutes, right? So that means the audience will believe that this person has nothing to talk, right? He don't know nothing, or he has no facts to present, right? So that is a thing that you should not do. Don't make your speech too short and also too long. Right? Now, for a 20 minutes presentation, you can end it around 18 minutes, no matter, no problem. Right? And you can go for around 22, 23 minutes also, no problem. Right? You have to be within that time. Never go too far or too less. Right? So this can be improved by rehearsing. Right? If you rehearse well, then you know I can finish within this amount of time. Right? So this is another part you need to know. And also, when presenting, you should avoid jargon. Right? Jargon means technical terms or the difficult words. Right? So if I'm talking about artificial intelligence, there are many technical terms in that. Right? And the normal audience or the general public will know nothing about those words. Right? So when I talk about that, sometimes they will wonder what this word is because it's new to them. Right? So in a presentation, make sure to use the simple language. Right? If the audience knows about these languages, these technical terms, you can use them, no problem. Right? But if they don't know nothing, better to use a simple language, easily understandable language. Right? Because if your message is not delivered correctly, your speech is an utter failure. Right? Because we communicate our ideas using our language. Right? If we are using a hard language that is difficult to understand, then the audience, if the audience can't understand it, then the speech is fail. Right? Now you can just so compare this to different kinds of politicians that are in today. Right? I'm not going to tell their names. Right? You can just pick up 2-3 persons and see how they speak. Right? And see these. Do they have these skills? Right? Do they rehearse or do they have a logical flow? Right? Do they use simple language? Right? You can just compare them. Right? And see how well they present actually. Right? And the seventh point is opening, body, and conclusion. Right? In the presentation, actually, we divide the presentation into 3 parts. Right? Those are opening, body, and conclusion. Right? So the opening means this is the start of your presentation. Right? So the start of your presentation should always be attention grabbing. You should be able to grab the attention of the audience at the beginning of your presentation. Right? So you can start with a question or a quotation or a prop. Right? You can use different concepts. Right? However, your opening or the start should be attention grabbing. Then only you will be able to hold the audience. Right? Then in the body part, in the second part of your presentation should be the facts. Right? You can talk about your topic, then show the facts, graphs, then the charts. Right? You can show them in the body part. Right? But when presenting facts also, you have to make sure not to flood the audience with many facts. Right? We are not going to give different kinds of charts, tables, and that will make them tired. Right? So you have to control it. Right? You have to present facts according to an acceptable level. Right? So that is the body. And the conclusion means the end of the presentation. So the conclusion should always be a memorable one. Right? Because in this part only, we are going to give away our message. Right? Because now, for example, let's say it's a 30-minute presentation. Right? the audience will not remember everything that you talk within those 30 minutes, right? It's impossible, right? They will surely remember what you say in the end of the presentation, right? So what you have to do is, in your conclusion, you have to give away your strong message or the call for action. They will definitely remember that, right? They will not 100% remember the body, right? They will remember, not 100%, right? So in the conclusion, make it a memorable one, right? So that is the 7th point. And when presenting, another important thing is the eye contact, right? You should have a proper eye contact with the audience, right? So when we are giving an eye contact to the audience, it will make them feel wanted or feel engaged, right? So you can randomly look at 2-3 people in the audience, right? So that you make them engaged with your presentation, right? So I have seen many students, when they come to a presentation, what they do is they keep staring at the roof, right? Or they keep staring on the floor. They are not looking straight at the audience, right? So that is a thing you should develop, right? Once we see a student like that, we know, right, this student lacks the communication skill, right? That is a point we see from a student who is lacking this skill, right? So make sure to have an eye contact when speaking, right? Randomly look at 2-3 people. That is enough, right? Then other thing is gestures, right? When you are presenting, right, you should use appropriate body language, right? Body language to or to contribute. You can use this body language to contribute to your speech points, right? So when you are speaking, actually now, for example, when we speak something, right, uh, we can give a better understanding when we use our body language, right? Now, for example, when I'm speaking, I'm using my hand like this. So this is my body language, right? So you know that I'm going to say something, right? So you are listening to my words as well, and you are seeing me with my body language, right? So these are very important. Gestures or the body language is very important when presenting, right? Now, when a student comes for a presentation, sometimes they keep standing straight, not moving, right, and presenting. Then we know that this student is under some pressure or is stressed with this presentation, because it's not his normal body language, right? So make sure to have a natural body language, right? So if you are having some area to walk around, you can walk, right? Not just standing straight on the same position. You can just walk 2-3 steps, right? And you can use your hands, right? And you can use your facial expressions. You can smile with the audience, right? Likewise. So have some normal body language, right? So the gestures and these facial expressions will show or support the words that you utter, right? Not just saying something saying straight. You can use your body language, right? So these are some skills that you should develop, right? You can't do this overnight, right? Now I can say you all to do use gestures, right? But this when it's come to a practical situation, this is very hard to implement, right? So you have to practice with your natural gestures and facial expressions, right? Now you can see with politicians also, right? For example, right? Some are banging their heart, right? Some are throwing away their hands, right? You can see. So those they are their normal gestures, right? So that will actually help the audience to understand what they are going to say, right? So use gestures and the vocal variety, right? So when you are speaking, always try to use a varied volume, right? You can change the volume, the rate, the pitch. So this will enhance the message, right? Sometimes you can speak louder. Sometimes you can lower your voice, right? Sometimes you can speak fast. You can increase the rate, right? Likewise, this vocal variety should be there, right? Also, when you speak, right, even the softest sound should be clearly heard by the audience, right? So when you are pronouncing some words, right, they should be clearly heard by the audience, right? So these are another thing. And visual aids. Now this is the point we need actually, right? During a presentation, you can use visual aids in order to help your audience to understand your message better, right? So for this, we use PowerPoint slides, right? This is where this software today that we are going to learn comes into action, right? So what you have to make sure is, right, when we talk about presentation, it's not all about PowerPoint, right? PowerPoint, we use PowerPoint only to support our presentation, right? It's just a tool, right, that we use to give away our message better, right? You can do a presentation without a single PowerPoint slide. You can do, right? But what we do is we always think that when it comes to presentation, it's PowerPoint. That's not the thing, right? You can use visual aids such as a whiteboard, no problem, right? You can use a drawing that is on a Bristol board. That is also a visual aid, right? Or else you can use nothing and just come forward and present something, right? That is also a presentation. Now, for example, see, I'll come back to the politician example. Do these politicians use PowerPoint presentations when they come for elections? No. What they do is they present their lives in a very beautiful manner, right? What we do is we hear them and we trust them. That's their skill, right? They are not using any visual aid, right? So make sure you to use visual aids in order to support your message, right? Not to don't make this visual aids the total presentation, right? That's the thing, right? And the final point is be when you are present, you are of an audience, right? Which means you are performing, right? So everybody is at you, right? So make sure to give a good message to remember, right? Because they will be trusting each and every word that you say, and they will be hearing each and every word you say, right? So make sure that you are in the limelight, right? And also do not ever turn your back. I never show you to the audience. Always show your front side to the audience. Now, I have seen many students, when they come to a Viva or a presentation, what they do is they project the presentation slide and they turn around and keep on reading the presentation slide. Right? Do not do that. Right? Sometimes I ask the students to sit down and say them, I can read the presentation slide. Right? So we don't need another person to read the slides. Right? So make sure to present something. Right? You can use the PowerPoint slide, but you have to present. Right? Show your self to the audience and present. And also, do not hide behind the lectern. Right? A lectern means a podium. Right? Now, if you are given a podium in your presentation, do not hide yourself behind that. Right? You can keep some kind of a gap between the podium and yourself, and you can present. Right? Do not hide yourself. Always try to be free with the audience. Right? Move with the audience. Look at them. Right? Speak with them. Smile with them. And give a message to remember. Right? So these are the tips that you have to ensure when you are doing a good presentation. Right? So from this, I'll move on to this visual aid part. Right? Now I think you have a good idea on how to present. Right? So presenting means you have to do another set of things rather than developing PowerPoint slides. Right? Now let's hope we have done this. Right? Let's suppose we have done this part. We know the audience, we have selected a topic, and we have collected facts. And then only we are now going to design our visual aids. Right? Let's suppose. Right? So in today's session, I'll talk you all or teach you all on how to design a normal presentation, a basic one, right? A basic one like this, and how to transform it into a effective one like this, right? I'll talk in this session, right? So first of all, let's see how we can make a basic presentation like this, right? With all these facts and images, right? So let's take PowerPoint, right? I'll go to PowerPoint. I hope you all can see my screen, right? If you can't see, tell me, huh? Right. So when we come to PowerPoint, right? When we start PowerPoint, this is the first interface that we see, right? So when creating a presentation, right? As we talked in Word also, right? I talked this part in Word also. There are different kinds of templates in Word, right? Likewise, in PowerPoint also, there are different kinds of templates that we can use, right? A template means a pre-designed PowerPoint presentation, right? That we can use for our task, right? There are different kinds of templates here you can see, right? Beautiful designs and beautiful concepts, right? But I'm not going to use these templates. I'm going to show you on how to design a presentation from the scratch, right? So I'll take blank presentation, right? So this is the view that we get when we come from a blank presentation, right? So when we see the interface, it is pretty much similar to the interface that we saw on Word, right? You see the presentation title and these tabs, right? And then we see the ribbon. Likewise, we see the same layout. But from below the ribbon, the index a little changed, right? In Word, what we saw was a document that we can type, right? But in PowerPoint, we see a slide. These are called slides, right? In this only, we are going to add our facts and present it, right? So this larger part, or this rectangle, right? Larger rectangle is the slide that we are currently working on. Right, so our current presentation has only one slide. Right, you can see on the left hand side here, it has only one side. So I have selected it and it is displayed here. Right, so you can add many slides to your presentation of your choice, as of your choice. Right, so first of all, I'll show you how to add slides, right, according to your preference. Right, so in order to add a slide, you can use this home tab. Right, in the home tab, there's an option called new slide. Right, from this tool, you can add slides as of your preference. Right, but when adding a slide, you have to make sure what kind of a slide that you need. Right, because there are different kinds of themes here. Right, now for example, now this first slide is called a title slide. Right, because the first slide we use is to show our title. Right, and the other slides are title and content, section, header, to content. Likewise, there are different kinds of slides. So we have to take a slide according to our required task. Right, for example, I'll take a title and content one. Right, so when you add the slide, you see another slide is added here and its layout is different. Right, you see a title and you have content here. Right, I'll take another slide here. I'll take a comparison. Right, now see, this layout is totally different. We have a title and two contents here. Right, now for example, you can use this layout in order to discuss some advantages and disadvantages of something. Right, you can list down the advantages this side, disadvantages this side. Right, it's just an example. Right, you can use for a thing like that. Likewise, you have to get the slide according to your task. Right, so I hope you are clear. Right, you can get slides as much as you want from here. Right, so let's start our slide designing part. Right, so first of all, I'm going to design a basic slide. Right, without any design, just a slide with a white background. Right, for example, this slide that I have developed. Right, with a white background, it's very dull. Right, but let's see how we can develop the basic structure here first. Right, so in this first title slide, right, you can add your title. Right, when we come to this slide, it says click here to add the title. Right, what you have to do is click there and then you can type your topic, your speech topic. Right, so our speech topic will be importance of technology. Right, I'll type it, importance of technology. You can type it. Right, so after typing, right, you can select this word and apply any of these options that we learned on Word. Right, those options are available here, also available here. Right, in the home tab, home ribbon, there's the font group and the paragraph group. Right, those are similar to the that are in the Word. Right, so you can increase the font, decrease the font, or change the font size, font type, go to bold it, underline it, right? You can do anything, right? What you have to do is select it and apply, right? And after adding the topic, here the student name is given. So you can add it as a subtitle here. So I'll type here by Saman Kumar. You can type it, right? So it is very simple. The white color slide, I just type something, right? So after creating that slide, we can move on to the other one, next one, right? So in the next slide, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type a topic and some content and add an image, right? So this layout is title and content. Now, you see a title here, you see the content here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll just copy this one now because we can save time. I'll just copy and click on this title and paste it here. This is our title. And this is the text that I'm going to use. So I'll click to add text here and paste my text here. Right? So it's very easy, right? So make sure, right, now, when coming to this part, right, when coming to this slide creation part, you have to have your facts collected, right? That is why that preparation stage is very important. In that preparation stage only, we are going to select our topics, collect facts, download images, videos, right? In that part only, we are going to do that. If we have done it clearly, then when we come to the presentation part, presentation creating part, we just have to copy and paste only. We don't have to think about it. It will be very easy, right? So make sure to do the preparation part very successful. Then it will be very easy when you come to it, right? And when adding this contents, right, or when typing things in the presentation, I must say very important thing, right? Always try to keep it short and simple, right? We call it KISS, right? KISS, right? Keep it short and simple, right? Never ever try to have large paragraphs in this part. It will be boring for the audience to see larger paragraphs, right? So make sure if you are talking something, right, at the point here, right? Now, if I'm talking about technology, I can use a simple point here. Now, like this, I can use a simple point here and elaborate this point in my presentation. When I'm presenting, I can tell other stuff. I'm giving the basic idea of the summary as a point, right? That is a very good practice you need to do during a presentation. Never use larger paragraphs. What I have seen is students do is they copy and paste everything on the internet, right? So it is very bulky and very boring when we see it, right? So use point form and keep it very short and simple, right? So for our example, I'll just copy and paste this text, right? Likewise, right? So I need to add an image also here, right? This is the image. So I have downloaded it. What I'm going to do is insert this image here. So as you can remember in Word, what we do is if we want to add a table or a image or a chart, we went to the insert tab, right? Likewise, in PowerPoint also, if we need to add something to our presentation, right? Add anything, add a table, a chart, a photo, anything. We go to the insert tab. From there only, we are going to insert anything. Right? So come here, insert tab, and there you find pictures. Right? So I'm going to add the image from my device. I'll go to this device, and this is the image that I'm going to insert, and I'll insert it. Right? So as soon as I insert it, right, you can see the image is inserted into my slide, right? And in the newer versions of PowerPoint, you get designer ideas, right? Sometimes you all might not get this view, right? If you are using Office 365, you'll get this view, right? There are some design ideas, right? The AI part in this software helps me to design this very effectively. Right, so I can use a design here, but I'm not going to use here. What I will do is I will resize this image and move it to this side, to the right side. Right. So you can see when I get the image also, a contextual tab appears. Right. I talked about this contextual tab in Word also. Right. So this tab appears only when a specific object is added. Right. As soon as I click on the image, this tab appears, and when I exit from the image, it disappears. Right. So that tab is to control this image or to add features to this image. Right. So in order to do changes to this image, we can use this picture format. Right. So from there, we can crop the image if we want. Right. So I'll crop it like this. I don't need the whole image. I'll crop it. Then I can add a frame if I want. Right. And I can do corrections here. I can increase the brightness or decrease it. Likewise, I can do changes. Right. But the main thing what we need to do is here, right? When we add an image, you see that the text is behind the image now. You can't see the text here. Right. Now, in my example, what you see is the text is taken to the left side and image is on the right side. Right. So, in a practical aspect here, it's not the same. What we can do, right? Always make sure, right? These things that we type or the things that we add to our presentation are movable. We can move them, right? Anywhere we can, right? We can keep it here or here, anywhere else, right? And also this part also, right? This typing text also, we can move it anywhere, right? So what I'm going to do is this text box, right? I'm going to resize this text box, right? The text is going this way because the width of this text box is very high. It comes to this corner, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the width of this text box like this, so that the text won't go beyond that limit. It is stopped from here. So I have plenty of space here to add my image. I can use it like this now. See? Right? Always try to manipulate your content according to your design. What I've seen is students don't change this. Right? They keep it like this, right? And use the image in the below like this. It's also fine, no problem, right? But you can get more space, right, when you do this, so that the image is very visible then. Rather than putting a small image in the corner, right, we can move the text aside and use a very larger image for a better viewing experience. Right? So you can do that. Right? Always try to change these things. Right? Okay. Then let's move to the next slide. Right? In this one, you see now users of technology, and they have typed something, and they have typed some topics as well here. Right? Now let's see what we can do. Right? So I'll take another slide, the third slide. Now this is not the slide that I want, so I'll delete it. I'll right click on this slide and delete it. This slide is also a title and content one. Right? So I'm getting a new slide with that format. And the topic is users of technology. And the text is this one. I'll add it here. Right. So after adding that, I need to add some random text like this. Right. So these are the users of technology: healthcare, business, education, like this. So how I'm going to type this here. Right. So in this format, in this layout, I can't type a thing like that. Right. So what I'm going to do is I will create a new text box to type the thing that I want. Right. Because I can't type everything here. Right. So if I type these things here, right, for example, healthcare, business, education, it will type like this: healthcare, business. It will type as a list. Right. But it is not the way I want it. I want it like this. Right. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not typing in here. Right. I will resize this text box like this and make some room here, make some space here. And I'm going to insert a text box here. Right. I'm going to the insert tab and I'm going to insert a text box here. Right. I'll take a text box and click on the slide, and then I'll type healthcare. Right. Now you see, right, the typed text is on a separate text box now. I can move it here and there, or else I can select this text and increase the font, right, make it bold, do whatever I want. Right. Likewise, I can type anything by taking text boxes. Here you see, these things are all typed as text boxes, manual text boxes. Right. So the thing that you need to learn is, right, when you are typing something on a slide, right, you can take text boxes. Right. I have seen students, what they do is they type everything on this text box. The text box that is automatically given in the layout. They are not going beyond that. And they try to type everything there. What you can do is you can keep that text box and you can take any kind of a text box according to your preference and type those things. Right? I type here one, take another text box and type another thing here. And I'll take another text box. Likewise, I can keep on typing. Right? So you can design it very effective. Right? So from there onwards, right, this 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th slides are all the same layout. You see, there's a title, there's a heading, right? In the next slide also, there's a title and the content. Title, content. Likewise, it goes and goes until the last slide. So it is pretty much easy to develop a slideshow, right? Nothing much. If we have the content ready, you can use the title and content slide, put the title and the content, and you can move on with your presentation. And in the final slide, the topic is conclusion, and they have typed something and added an image here, like we did that in the first slide. Same thing, right? So no big deal here, right? So you can, if you can work with Word very well, you can work in PowerPoint as well, right? Because it's all about typing, nothing much, right? You can take a slide from here and then you can keep on typing, because when we take a slide, it will instruct us how to type. Here, click to add title, click to add the text here. If you want to add another text box, you can use the method I showed you. You can add a text box and type another thing, right? If you want to add an image, you can go to insert, then you can go to pictures and add an image, likewise, right? So in that manner, you can create a basic presentation like this, right? But, right, what the problem here is, when you create a basic presentation like this, it's very dull, right? Because during a presentation, one of the main thing is it should be very attractive, right? It should be very attractive to the audience, right? It should be eye-catching, right? Now, once we display a presentation like this, it is like a funeral, right? Many things are on white color and we see black text there, right? So when you are designing a presentation, right, make sure to have a rich content that is good, and also to have a very pleasant design, right? Because people are watching on it, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to transform this basic presentation into a presentation like this now, right? The same presentation, but I'm going to use some colors and some designs and to transform it to a beautiful one. What you can do, right? So let's see how we can transform this, right? So this first slide you see here, right? Now, let's go back to our sample one. So this is our dull presentation, right? And this is our transformed one. Now what have happened here? It's the same title, it's the same name, right? Only change is there's a image behind this, right? There's an image behind this with a very beautiful blue color, and it is very attractive, right? So what I'm going to do here is, now I have downloaded that image, right? This is the image, and this is the image that I'm going to use, right? So I'm going to insert a picture to this slide. What picture? That downloaded picture, right? So this is the image, right? So this image, I will enlarge it to this slide size, right? So as soon as I enlarge it, our text is gone now. You can't see it, right? So what you can do is, you can right click on this image and send this image to back, right? Now this image and this text are added as layers, right? Our text layer is below and our image is up above. That is why we can't see the text. So what I'm going to do is right click on this image and send this to back, right? So what happens is our title will appear. Now what you can do is, right, you can select this text, then you can use a different kind of a font like this, right? Then you can change its color, right? And you can change its position like this. And I'll use it here. And this one also, let's change the color. Cambria. Right, like this, we can transform that dull presentation to a very beautiful title slide. What you need to do is think creatively. That's it. Right. So this was our dull presentation. Right. This was our dull presentation. What I did was transformed it into this kind of a thing. What I did was just inserted an image and changed this text color and its position. That's it. Right. So some people might think that I don't have a creative mind. No, how can I design this? Right. So some people might have that problem. Right. So in order to resolve that issue, we have templates. Right. That is why we are using templates in presentations. Right. So I'll show you a template. How to use a template here. Right. I'll take a new presentation. Right. So rather than taking a blank presentation, what I'm going to do here is I will go to more themes and I will select a template, right? A specific template, right? Let's take a sample template. So let's take this one. Yes, this one, right? No, let's take this one. It's very beautiful. So I'll take this template and I'll create a presentation. So see, right, as soon as we get the template, what happens is it is a predefined template, right? You see, there are beautiful colors here, right? Color arrangements there. You can use this template and start on with the presentation. Working on it is the same way that we worked on the blank presentation, right? You can add your title here. Importance of technology. We can type like that. And here we can use one-to-one like that. So it's not a big deal, very easy, right? Use a template if you can't design it from the ground. If you can design it from the beginning, it's very good because you can change those templates according to your preference, right? So if you are using a template, it's okay, no problem. Right? No one is going to cut marks that you have used a template. Right? You can use a template or design it from the beginning. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to design it from the beginning. Right? So we transformed our first slide like this. Right? So the next slide. So next slide, let's see. This is our transformed one. Right? You see what is technology. There's a line here. The text is here and the image is here. Right? So we will transform this slide to one like this. Right? So what we can do here, we can select this title here and change its font. Right? So here I have used Cambria. Right? This is the font, and I'll increase the font size and I'll decrease this text box size and I will move it this side, right? Right. And the image I have moved it to the left side and the text I have moved it to the right side. You see, right? Like this. And I have enlarged the image up to here. Like this, right? And also you see that this image is a bit transformed, right? Now you see this image is in a black and white color, right? But our real image is in the colored format, right? So what I can do here is I can click on the image, go to picture format, right? And adjust its color, right? You can manage its brightness as well as its color, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to black and white it, right? So you can black and white that image. And you see a line here, right? So you can add a line like this, right? What I'm going to do is adding a line here. So in the home tab, right, you see here drawings group. In the drawings group, there's a line, right? You can click on a line and draw it according to your preference. Draw a line, right? So as soon as I draw a line, a contextual tab appears as shape format here, right? So with this tab, you can make changes or you can design your shape according to your preference, right? So in my example, the line is a bit thicker and it's blue color, it's very thick, right? So what I can do is from using this shape format tab, I can adjust those settings, right? So the color, it's already blue, no need to change, right? Or else you can change it also, right? From this shape outline section, you can change the color, right? And also, right, if you need to thicken the line, you can use the weight option here. In shape outline, you find weight. So you can increase the weight. As soon as you increase the weight, you see the line gets thick, right? You can add a line like this, right? So rather than using a dull slide, what we did was we changed the font, right, into an interesting font and move the image to a different perspective and change this color and added a line, right? That is what I do. Let's come to third slide, right? So in this slide, you can see the same layout, right? I haven't changed the layout. I use the title and content layout, but I have changed the font here. You see, I have used Cambria and used Cambria for here as well. And I have added the same line that I used here in this slide also, right? So what you can do is I'll select this and I'll give Cambria. For this text also, I'll use Cambria. And I'll draw a line here also, right? Draw a line and I'll go to shape outline and increase the weight of that line like this, right? And you see now for this healthcare, business, education, those parts, I have inserted some images. In order to make it more attractive, I have given some images, right? So that have made this slide a bit more pretty, right? So what I can do here is I can add images, right? So when adding images, some people might think, oh, we have to download everything and add them, right? But here in PowerPoint, we have an option to directly download images from the internet and add to the present page, right? We don't need to Google it and download it and then edit later, and we can directly edit from the internet, right? So I'll show you how to do it. One option is, right, you can go to insert tab and you can go to pictures and you can add online pictures, right? So you can search online and directly get the image to this slide, right? But what I have done here is I have used this option, icon option, right? I have used icons. You see, healthcare icon. These are icons, business icon, education icon, right? So I can use icons option and get images for these relevant topics, right? So I'll go to icons. So as soon as I go to icon, there are different kinds of icon. These are all internet resources, right? You have to download it. It will automatically be added to your presentation, right? So I'll search an icon, healthcare. CGALPH. Right. When I search healthcare, you see icons related to healthcare. Right. So this is the icon that I used. I click on that image and click insert. Right. Now see, as soon as I click insert, that image is added here. It is downloaded and added here. And then you can resize it, right? And keep it on your preferred location, right? So this image also you can customize. There's a special tab for this graphics format. So with that, you can give it a color, right? Or else you can increase its weight, right? Or else you can do other things as well, right? Likewise, I have inserted these icons, healthcare, business, education. So I have searched for icons that are related to these topics, right? For business, now let's see. Let's search, insert, icons, business, right? There are different icons. Let's take an image here. Business icon. Can't find it. This is the image that I used here. It's a graph, right? I can't find it. No problem. This one, right? This is the image, right? So you can use it like this. Likewise, you can add images to your presentation while you are working on it, right? So you can, what you have to do is you can go to insert tab and use this option or use these icon options if you specifically want icons like this, right? If you want an image, you can go to online images and search for images, right? And add them directly from the internet. No problem, right? So that is how I have designed this slide, right? And from the next slide onwards, you see the same layout is used. I have used healthcare as the topic and I have drawn the line similarly. And I have copied that icon that I used here and pasted it here, right? And what I have done here is I have used this graphics format tab and changed this color, right? You can change its color according to your theme, right? That is what I have done in the next slides. You see here, right? And at the end also, I have used the same method that I used in this first slide for this conclusion slide. I have shifted the image to the right side and change its color to background black and white. Right, its background is black and white, and I have drawn a line, and the same format is used here similarly. Right, and for the final slide, I have used thank you and drawn a line. So it is a very simple design, nothing much, right? But it is very attractive rather than using this presentation. Using a dull presentation like this, that is way better. Right? So make sure when you are designing a presentation, make some effort to create it in a very beautiful manner. Right? That is a thing that you should do. Don't do it in a dull way. Right? So if you can't design, if you don't have a creative mind, use templates. Right? That is what you should do. So after creating the presentation like this in a very beautiful way, we can present it in any kind of an audience. Right now, this is actually 80% complete. Right, with the content we have images, we have everything. Right, we can present it on any stage now. So when presenting, right, what we do here is, right, after creating the presentation, we can start our presentation from this option. Right, in the below, you see the slideshow option. Right, or else there's a specific tab for that also. You can go to slideshow and start your slide from the beginning. Right, these are the two ways, or you can use the shortcut key F5, right, to start the presentation. Always make sure to start the presentation and see how it goes actually. Right, so let's start the presentation. So this is our presentation. Right, so don't think about these animations. I'll show you how to add animations. So just I'll go through with the slides. Right, when I'm clicking on the presentation slide, or when I click on the arrow keys, the slide will move. Right, for the moment, don't think about these animations. So let's just move on with the slides. So they are fine. Right, they are designed in an effective manner, and I can see the slideshow very clearly. Right, so always try to run the slideshow and see it is working fine or it's displayed correctly. Right, so after creating the presentation, right, I told you now this is actually 80% complete. Right, another 20% is we can use this we can add some other features to this presentation. Right, those are transitions and animations. Right, because without transition and animation, the presentation is also done. Right, now let's see this. This is our sample one. Let's just start the presentation. Now see, when I go through the slides, they move in a very dull manner. And as soon as I click the arrow key, the next slide just jumps. Right, it's just jumping from slide to slide. Right, there's nothing to see. Right, so we can add transitions to our slide in order to make it more beautiful. Right, transitions means those are some effects. Right, those are some effects that we apply or that can be weaved when we move from one slide to another. Right? When we transit from one slide to another, a transition can be played. Those are called transitions. So transitions are added to slides. Right? So what I'm going to do here is I will click on this slide and go to the transitions tab, and I will add transitions from here. Right? So I'll do it for my dull presentation first, right? Because for the original one, I have already added transitions. So for the first slide, I'll go to transitions and I will add the transition from here. I'll just add push, right? And for the second slide also, I'll add a different one in order to see the difference. I'll add another transition. For the third slide, I will add another one. Likewise, we can add transitions for our slides. So it is very beautiful when we present it. So these are played when we are transiting from one slide to another, when we are moving from one to another. Right. So let's start the presentation again and see. So this is our first transition. And when I go to the second slide, the second transition is played. Right. Then when I move to the third one, the third transition is played. Likewise, we can add transition to each and every slide. But you have to make sure, right, when adding transitions, try to be in a specific format. Right? What I mean is, try to use transitions in a same manner. Right now, for example, you see now my first transition was a push. And the second one is a totally different thing. It's a honeycomb. Right? And in the third one, you saw it was crushed. Right? So never use that kind of transitions. Try to have a flow. Right? It's better if you can use the same kind of transition. Right? For the first one, push. Second one also you can use push. And the third one also you can use push. So that all the slides will be transiting in the same manner. Right? Try to use a same manner. And also when using transitions, never use those exciting ones. Right? The one that I used was crushed here. This is not suitable for a professional presentation. There are another one called airplane. Right? They just make a plane and throw it away. So these are not suitable. It's fractured. Right? So these are not suitable for a professional presentation. So try to make it very simple and beautiful, the transitions. Right? So have a smooth transition. Right? So in my presentation, you can see now this is my final output. You can see I have used the push transition. When I move from first slide to second slide, it is pushed. Right? Third slide, it's a push. For the fourth slide, it's a push. Right? So the same format is followed throughout the presentation. Right? So you can add transitions to those slides. Right? And apart from transitions, we can add another thing called animation. Right? So this is not compulsory, right? But you can add this to your slide in order to make it more effective. It gives up some beauty to your presentation actually. Right? You can add animations to your presentation as well. Right? So what I'm going to do here is I'll add an animation to my presentation. Right? So you have to make sure a special thing. Right? transitions we add to the slides, right? We added transitions to the slides. Animations are added to the content of the slide. You have to know the difference of these two options, right? Transitions are added to slides and they are played when we move from one slide to another. Animations are added to the content of the slide, right? Now see, when I move to the animations tab, any of these buttons are not working. None of these are working, right? All those buttons are disabled. I can't use them. It is because animations are not added to slides. So I'm on a slide now. I have clicked on the slide, but I can't add an animation to the slide. I have to click on the content of the slide in order to add an animation. Now see, as soon as I click on the content, these buttons appeared. Now I can apply an animation, right? So we have to make sure that, right? Transitions are for slides, animations are for content, right? So I'm going to add an animation for this content, right? For the importance of technology, I will add an animation from here. And for Saman Kumara, also I'll add an animation like this, right? So when I apply these animations, you see a number is also visible here, right? So this number represents the playing order. These animations are played in an order, right? So first this animation will be played, or this importance of technology animation will be played, and then only the Saman Kumara's animation will be played. That is what is depicted from these numbers 1 and 2, right? And that is the order that I applied them also. So 1 and 2 is visible here. So let's just start the presentation, right? Now our presentation is started, but our content is not there, right? It is because I have given an animation for them, right? When I click on the mouse or click on the keyboard, the first animation will appear, right? And when I click again, the second one will appear, 1 and 2, right? And when I click again, the slide will transit. It will move from another slide. So likewise, we can add animations to our slide, right? So when you see my presentation, right, I'll just start it. What you can see is, as soon as I start the presentation, the importance of technology by Saman Kumara is automatically played. I'm not clicking. I didn't click on the presentation. But with the sample I developed here, I had to click, right? When I start the presentation, I had to click on the presentation to make it appear. So what is the difference here, right? So what I have done is here, right? When I am applying these animations, you see this number is changed to 0, right? In the earlier one, it was 1 and 2, but here it's number 0, right? So what I have done here is, right, when applying the animation, right, I have changed its timing from on click to with previous. That is the only change that I have done. If you put on click, then the animation will appear once you click the presentation. They don't appear unless you click the presentation. That is what happened in our earlier one here, right? Here, what's the option? It's on click. So I have to click on the presentation to make it appear, right? But in my final presentation, what I have done here is I changed it to with previous. So what happens is I don't need to click to make it appear. As soon as I start the presentation, it appears. So it's very smooth and very beautiful rather than clicking on the presentation. Right? So you can change the starting procedure from here when you add the animation. Right? So throughout the presentation, I have used animations. Right? In the second slide, I have not used animation. In the third slide also, I have not used animation. But in the fourth slide, I have used an animation for this image. For this healthcare logo, I have used the zoom animation here and also given the starting procedure as with previous. Right? And for the rest of the slides also, I have used the same procedure here. Right? And for the final presentation slide, I have not used the animation. And for thank you also, I have not used. So you see, I have not used animation throughout my presentation. At specific stages, specific levels, I have used animations. Right? So this you can use these animations to make it more attractive. Right? What I have seen is when students develop presentations, they use animations to each and everything. For everything, right? For example, for this image also they use an animation, for this also animation, this also animation. That won't work, right? And that will make your presentation horrible, right? So use animations very precisely at specific moments to make it more attractive. Right, now see, I'll start the presentation here. The first slide, there's an animation and the transition now, right? And the transition to another slide. And in the next slide, there's a transition and an animation, right? You saw this animation played here, right? And the fourth slide also has an animation. So likewise, I have used animations and transitions to make it more effective, right? So when creating a presentation, make sure to use transitions and animations. Right, so no one is going to cut off marks that for not using transitions or animations. Right, you can use it or you can not use it. It's your choice. Right, so when creating a presentation, actually there is no specific way. Right, but what I taught you was are the basic concepts or the tips, principles that we use when we design a effective presentation, right? So you can use these tips, right? So it's not very hard to design a presentation. What you have to do is first thing, prepare, right? Collect information, collect facts, collect images, videos related to that topic. Then jot down all those information and then weave your story or the flow, make a logical flow. Then start creating your presentation, right? Then develop your presentation in an effective manner. For that, you can use templates or else you can start designing like I did from the beginning. In order that you should be somewhat creative, right? So I'm not a very creative person, right? What I did was I used basic things, nothing much, right? Use lines and icons and all those stuff. So wow, when I create presentations also, what I do is normally I use templates, right? So that will actually save much time for me to create the presentation very easily. Right, so I don't need to think about the design. Right, so there are plenty of designs you can use. Right, so here there are plenty of designs. Right, you can search for more as well. right? If you are connected to the internet, you can get many templates online, right? There are different kinds of templates. See here, right? There are very beautiful ones. So it's better to get down a template and develop, right? So that is how a presentation is created, or an effective presentation is created using PowerPoint, right? So coming back to the earlier point, right? You have to make sure presentation means not PowerPoint. It's just a tool, and we use this to support our presentation, right? Presenting means you have to have these things with you. You have to develop it as a skill, and you have to use these concepts when you are presenting. That is the main thing, right? So I have shared this file in the chat section, and also I'll share this presentation that I have created also, in order to get an idea so that you can use it, right? Right. So let's see if others have questions, right? Right. Viduranga has asked how to change the distance between sentences in paragraphs, right? So let's see how we can change the line space, right? So let's take this one as an example, right? So this is a paragraph, right? In order to the size, line spacing, right? In the home tab, we have the paragraph group. We discussed this in Word as well, right? So in the paragraph section, there's an option called line spacing here, right? So when we increase the line spacing, you can see the space between the lines are increased. And when you decrease it, you can see the line spacing is decreased. From here, you can change it according to your preference. And that is how we change the line space, right? And there was some other question. File is currently being used. Right, how to add slide numbers, right? Another question on how to add slide numbers, right? So in a presentation, we can add slide numbers, right? So in order to do that, what we can do here is, right, we can go to insert tab, right? In the insert tab, there's an option called insert slide number here, right? So with this option, you can insert a slide number to your slide, right? So I'm using the slide option here. You can include the date and time in the slide if you want, right? And you can include the slide number here. I'm using only this, and I'll apply to all, right? So you can see in every slide, the slide number is added here. In the first one, it's not visible because of the blue color, but from the second slide onwards, you can see here, number 2, number 3, 4, 5. Likewise, we can add slide numbers, right? That is how you add a slide number from insert tab, right? So you can add a date as well if you want when adding the slide number, right? If we add the date, what happens is the date is also applied here, right? Right. So any other questions? I hope you got an idea. If you have any questions, you can ask. I have shared this file and the presentation that I developed, right, for you to get a reference. You can use it as a reference if you want. So with the limited time, actually, we can't talk about everything, right? But with these basic things that I taught you, you can create a presentation and start presenting. No problem, right? But try to touch on these other buttons as well when you are doing it, right? Now, as an additional thing, I'll simply show you a thing, right? In this slideshow tab, right? There's an option called reverse timings, right? So in my presentation, I told you that it's a very important thing to rehearse, right? So PowerPoint gives you an option to do rehearsals on your own, right? Without using a third party, you can rehearse using PowerPoint, right? So this option is dedicated to rehearsal, right? What you have to do is create the presentation, add all these transitions, animations, and do everything, right? And finally come here and click on this option, reverse timings option, right? So as soon as you click this, the presentation starts, right? So what you have to do is keep on presenting, right? What you have prepared, you can keep on presenting, right? So when you are presenting, the presentation time is recorded here, right? You can see a timer running here. So it will record the timings of your presentation, right? So I'll just go through on my presentation like this, right? Suppose I'm presenting, right? So let's move on with the presentation like this. Automation, banking, marketing, conclusion, and thank you, right? So as soon as I end the presentation, a message pops up saying the total time for slideshow was 40 seconds. And do you want to save the new slide timings? Now from this, I get an idea that I have allocated 40 seconds for this presentation. From this, you can manage your timings. And they ask whether I need to save it. I'll press yes, right? So the reason for saving the time is you can see now how much of time that you have allocated for each and every slide, right? After saving, come to this slide sorter view, right? From the bottom, there are 4 views here, right? We are in the normal view now. Next to the normal view, there's a slide sorter view, right? Come here after saving the time. In this view, what you can see here is the slides, right? Only the slides. So below the slide, you can see a time here, right? Now this is the time that we saved, right? So I have taken 27 seconds to present the first slide. I have taken 3 seconds for the second slide, 2 seconds for the third slide. Likewise, it shows how the 40 seconds is spread across the presentation, right? Now suppose I have taken 20 minutes for the presentation, right? But the time given to me was 15 minutes, right? So I have overrun the time. So from this view, I can see for which slide what the time that I have taken, right? For example, I can get an idea from which slide that I need to cut my speech, right? Or what slide I need to reduce my presentation time. And now, for example, for this first slide, I have allocated 27 seconds. That is not needed. So I can cut off that speech a bit and adjust the time, right? So you can use this option, reverse timings option, to manage your timing effectively, right? So it's a very tip that I give you, right? Before presenting, use this option and do your rehearsals, and that can help you a lot. I'll come back to the normal view. There's another question. Is there any software solution to organize the facts and information which we found from references before making the PowerPoint presentation? Organize the facts. Actually, in PowerPoint, you can't, because PowerPoint we use actually for separately for actually designing presentations. Here you can't save your information or the information that you collect from the internet. For that, actually, there are different kinds of softwares you can use. For the simple thing, what you can do is you can take a Word document and you can jot down the information that you need. That is the simple thing that you can do. Right? In PowerPoint, we can't keep them saved and apply them later. Right? Here, what we are going to do is directly applying them and creating the presentation. Right?
Yes. Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, මට දැනගන්න පුළුවන් අපේ ප්‍රශ්න එකට ක්ලිප් එක වීඩියෝ ක්ලිප් එකක් හරි ඇඩ් කරන්න කොහොමද කියලා?
Right. Okay. අපි බලමු. So to add a video, right, or a video clip, let's see. Now I'll take a new slide here, right, for this presentation. Let's see, take here, right. I need to add the video, right. I will add the new slide here, so I need to add the video for here, right. So in order to add the video also, you have to go to insert tab, right. Make sure the thing that I told you earlier, right? If you are inserting anything, if you want to insert anything, a picture or an image, you have to come here. Don't go anywhere else, right? So in this case, we need a video. I'm coming here, insert, right? In this ribbon, you can find video, right? And also you can add an audio clip as well here, right? And also you can add a screen recording also. You can add all these things, right? Now, for example, if you are doing an IT project, sometimes you have to show that your project is running. You have to have a screen recording. So you don't need to have a third-party software to record the screen. You can click here and add the screen recording also, right? So these three options can be used. So let's add a video, right? I'm going to add a video. I'll click on video here, and there are three options here. Insert from this device means you have to have the video downloaded in your computer, or else you can use online videos also. You can add a video directly from YouTube, right? You can use that option as well, right? So I'll just use this device option. I'll go to this device and I'll take a video. Right, how does the internet work? This is my video, right? So I'll click on this video and insert it. So as soon as I click insert, you can see the video is added, right? So you can resize this video according to your preference and keep it like this, right? And you can see a player here. You can play it and see whether it's running or not. Right. So during the presentation, also, when we come to the respective slide, you can see the play button and you can click on the play button and start your video. Right. So that is how you insert a video. Similar applies for the audio as well. Right. If you have downloaded an audio, you can insert the audio as well. Right. So another important thing is when you are applying videos for your presentation, make sure to add very small videos, right? What I've seen is sometimes the presentation duration is 20 minutes, right? And the video is around 10 minutes, right? The half of the presentation is a video, right? Don't do that. right? Make sure to have a small video, right? And I'll show you an option here, right? If your video is very low, right? You have the option to edit it here, right? You have the option to edit it here as well. So when we add the video, there are two buttons here, two tabs appearing here specifically for the video option, right? So in this playback option, right, there's an option called trim video, right? So from this option, we can trim our video, right? We don't need another third-party software to cut the video, right? Now, for example, in this video, this is a very long video. How does the internet work, right? So I need only a specific part from here to here, right? So what I can do here is I will go to trim video and I will trim, right? This is the part I need. I will trim and apply, right? So that small portion only will be added to the presentation, right? This is a very important thing to apply when applying videos. I have seen many students applying sometimes 30-minute videos in the presentation, right? They don't know how to trim it, right? Trim it and apply it, right? Hope I answered your question. I don't know your name, right? How to change transition time, right? Transition times. So when applying a transition, right, there's a duration that the transition is playing, right? So for example, in this transition, it takes around 1 second to appear this slide, right? So when adding a transition, what you can do here is once you add the transition, you can adjust the duration here, right? Now this is actually 75 milliseconds, less than a second, right? You can increase it. I'll take 10 seconds, right? Now see what happens, right? In the second slide, now see what happened, right? When I move to the second slide, it will take an eternity to move from first slide to the second slide. I have changed the duration. It will take 10 seconds, right? So don't change it to a higher level, right? Always try to keep it around 1 second or minimum, right? So that it will change fast, right? It can change fast, right? Right. So that's it. I hope I answered all your questions. Right. So that's it for our today's session. Right. And I hope you got an idea on how to create a presentation. Right. I'm saying it again, right? Presentation means not PowerPoint, right? You have to have the skills also developed along with that. This is only a tool and we use this to as a visual aid for our presentation. Keep that in mind when you are developing presentation slides, right? And with that, we will end today's session. And on the next day, we will talk on MS Excel, Microsoft Excel, and we'll see how we can deal with data on Microsoft Excel, right? And so let's wind up today's session. Good night to everybody.